Hey Tidders, I'll be with you in a second, my friend. I hope you're doing okay today. I know you've had a bit of a rough one. I hope you're feeling slightly better at least. I was distracted by, believe it or not, painting a squig and did not realise what time it was. So I'm now rushing to do the thing. There we go. I don't think I needed to do anything else. Brain's still a bit wank. Don't worry about it, Tidders. I know exactly how you feel. I do the same thing sometimes. It was just that I was working, so I couldn't really sit and puzzle it out with you. Hey Grox, how you doing? Hey Rocket, how you doing? Oh. Oh, I feel like I've forgotten to do something and it's really bugging me. Hey Dammy, how you doing? Had to reschedule your exam. Oh no, Rocket, I didn't know. What happened? Well, I'm sorry, Dammy. That's your end, mate. I'm doing okay. Oh dear. That didn't sound very convincing. Kitchen chairs are not so comfy after 6 hours, but it'll work. No worries, Crocs. Like I said, you do so much for this community. You're always giving to people. It only felt right that I, help you out in your time of need too. 'Cause you're a good egg. Ugh. Well, that's shitty, Rocket. I'm really sorry to hear that happened. Hey, Tempest, how you doing? Well, good on you, Tidders. But if you need to go and rest, friend, you go rest. Okay? Right. Oh, it's that asshat again, is it, Rocket? They sound like they're a barrel of laughs. Okay, Tidders. You'll have to forgive me. I'm pretty sure I said hello to you, Tempest, but my brain is all mush today. So if I didn't, I'm really sorry, and I hope you're doing okay. Oh, okay, Tempest. I'll take a look after the stream if that's okay. Hey, Orangey, how you doing? Okie doke, Dammy. Ooh, really, Tidders? Very exciting. Right. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay today. I decided that I would start doing some tidy up on our little DazzleSquig here. Nocturne Mania is in full swing. Oh, are you playing it and enjoying it then? Oh, I see, Tidders. Okay, well, enjoy it when you can, I guess. Oh, I see, Rocket. Yeah, that's one of the things I've always loved about the Mega 10 games. I mean, the ones that have it in, because you don't really have as much demon negotiation in the popular Persona games. But the negotiation's half the fun, if you ask me. I see titters. Okay. Okay, so I was going to say, I've started doing some tidy up on little DazzleSquig, and you'll notice it's got a couple of little bits of washi tape on it. Basically, I'm still really shaky, so what I thought I'd try was using washi tape, because I've got loads of the fucking stuff, to just sort of tidy my lines up a little bit. It's not worked perfectly because this is it's not a flat surface, but it's certainly helped a little bit. Rocket, that's fab. I remember the first time I did demon negotiation in, I think it was P1. Oh no, it was Devil Survivor. I did demon negotiation in Devil Survivor, and the first time I did it, the demon was just like, "Hey, do you have this thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, here you go." And it punched me and ran away. And I was so offended. I was like, "This isn't a fucking Pokemon game anymore, is it?" But yeah, that's half the fun of those games for me. Depends on the Pokemon, surely. Nah, they don't do that. Like, I mean, you could argue that Pokemon's a lot more down to chance, whether you actually manage to catch the Pokemon or not, but shout out to the demon that tells you to start digging your own grave and then you actually do it. Yep. I can't remember which one it is, but there's one that makes you beg. And if you do it, and you do it consistently enough, it's just like, geez, now I feel really awkward. I wasn't expecting you to actually do it. But they're great. All of them are really, really good. A lot of fun. But yeah, so if I struggle with any of the tidying up on this one, I think I'll probably just use a little bit of washi tape. This is the washi tape I'm using. It's super thin. I got a box of all different sizes. Hang on. See? And I got one of each size in a box. And the box cost me, I think, £5. And washi tape's a lot of fun. Like, you can use it to pretty things up, but I haven't really done that. It's basically just masking tape. So if you've got some masking tape, use that instead. But it can be quite helpful, turns out, for tidying up your straight lines on minis. Because it's not particularly adherent. Adhesive? I don't know. You know what I mean. Jack Frost join your party without your consent. Yeah, the little fuck. Hee-ho. First episode of Loki came out today. Might watch that later. Oh, shit. I'll have to tell Slow. He probably already knows, let's face it. I do kind of want to watch that. Straight lines. This is Pride Month. Quit lines or fuck off. you want me to do your Dazzle camo properly or not, Tidders? I know a lot of folks are like, oh, don't complain about the weather, we only get a couple of weeks of this a year. But my wet palette is not able to keep my paints wet in this weather. So I'd very much like it to fuck off. Because, shit, miniature paint is expensive. Far too hot in Germany too. Damn, I'm sorry to hear that, friend. I know you were, Tidders. It's fine. I'd never willfully do an objectively bad paint job. And you asked for Dazzle camo, so Dazzle camo you get. Even if it ain't perfect. I'll get it as near as damn it, though. Oh, if you hear any weird noises, our neighbours down the road are repaving their front today. So I'm sorry about that. There's very little I can do about it. I'm just glad they've finished with the cement mixer now, because that thing will make a ton of noise. Genuinely didn't realise that they could make that much noise. Hey, Private Random, how you doing? Oh, and an ice cream truck for good measure. Get me a 99. No, I can't. It's gone the other way anyway. Doesn't stop round here. It's almost like it knows. Well, its driver anyway. God, can you imagine that? Sentient ice cream van. That's a cryptid and a half, isn't it? $25 next Monday. We're due rain here next Monday. Perfect bloody timing. One day I've got off in ages. One day that my mum might come round so we can have a nice meal in the garden. And they're like, oh no, gonna rain that day. Fuck you, you don't get to have a nice birthday in the sunshine. It's 25 Sunday and Saturday and Friday. Fuck it now. Oh, welcome back, Dammy. You enjoy your catsuit, friend. Not cats and yonks. Not proper catsuit, anyway. Okay, which ones are particularly messy? Let's have a look-see. These ones ain't great. Oops. In before death by overheating. Big hugs, friend. Wagamama sells kits. Yes, they do. You can buy them online, but it's not the same. I mean, I've got a proper Japanese recipe for katsu, but getting the ingredients can be a bit of a pain in the ass. So I used to really like making karage as well. It's Japanese chicken nuggets for anyone that doesn't know. But making that stuff at home can be costly, and it's often quite time intensive as well. I made slow duck gyoza from scratch for his birthday in December because we couldn't go to Wagamama. And it took me all day. I mean, I had to make minced duck meat first, so that took a lot of time. So basically had to learn how to butcher a duck, which I can do now. So that's a skill under my belt. But my nearest Wagamama is about 15 miles away, so I haven't been in ages. It's a Japanese restaurant, it is. It's very, very nice. But it's quite pricey, so Slow and I generally only go like, well, they do more than ramen, Dammy. Loads more than ramen. Oh, who put this in? Yeah, fair enough, Dammy. Yeah, they're a Japanese restaurant. Not listen to this in yonks. There you go. But I always have. They do some stuff that isn't Japanese. They also do some Korean stuff on their menu. I think there's some Chinese stuff as well. But they do steak bulgogi, which is a Korean dish, with like pan-fried steak and fried noodles with aubergine in, and it's fucking lush. They also do some of the best gyoza I've ever had. Fair enough, Tidders. That sucks, my friend. I guess I'm going to have to add that to the list of things that if I ever get to meet you, I'm going to have to take you somewhere where there's a Wagamama so you can try some Wagamama food. Or, like, if there's a mum and pop Japanese restaurant anywhere, I'll take to that instead because they're generally better. We've got both in Leicester because we're fancy. And the Japanese restaurant is just, oh yes, so good. Lovely people that run it as well. Okay, I don't think I want to tidy too many of these up. Also, hello Longfang, you lurker. I hope you're well. You don't have to respond. Just saying hello, seeing as you put a song request in. That's better. Oh, I'm guessing it was Private Random that put this in, by the way. Seen as, yeah, it was him that introduced me to this band. 'Twas I. Laughs in hidden. So very hidden. Oof, yes, good choice. Fucking love this one. It's got a rad music video as well. There. She's a sidewind. We're in this together. Overdrive, 1,000 teeth and 1,000 voices. The sun goes down, it goes on and on. Katsu gone. Nice one, mate. I hope you enjoyed it. That's wicked, Tidders. I did not know that. Oh, that's a scruffy one. Let's tidy that one up. Or try to. They're a good band. They've got themselves into trouble a couple of times. Which is a shame. But the music is very good. Well, most recently, they got in on the NFT thing, and all their fans were just like, guys, no. Think about what you're doing. Stop. But they also got one of their music videos C indeed because they used an artist's video content without getting permission first. Hey Hans, how you doing? I think they dropped the NFT thing, thankfully. But yeah. They've made some silly fuck ups in the PR department. You should do it, Tidders. This is like the perfect time of year for it as well. The weather's lovely. Oh no, Dammy. Will Gunship ever learn? Silly Gunship. Indeed. Yeah, I know, Tidders. But, you know. When you've got spoons and you're not otherwise occupied. Ah, now this is a nice track. One of my favourites as well. One problem with having a smartwatch, folks. When your friends send you weird pictures over WhatsApp, um, you get to see them on your wrist. So even if you've got your phone set to do not disturb and you leave it out of the way so you won't be distracted by it, you still get fucking distracted. Such a relaxing tune. It really is. And oops, sorry, smacked the microphone with my paintbrush then. And very summery, for want of a better description. I mean, for all its faults, part of the reason I loved The Night of the Rabbit so much, for folks that saw that stream, or series of streams I should say, the music, or a lot of it at any rate, reminds me of this track. Like, it's got that same kind of vibe. There's a curiosity to it. Which I absolutely love. You might have guessed I'm taking the opportunity to just sort of tidy up any areas where the pink's not gone on quite as smooth as I'd like. But I think I'm about there. Got a little bit down there. Right. Oh good, my paint's finished transferring. This one's quite a fair bit thicker than the one I did on stream. So it's taken a little while to actually transfer from the funnel. Oh, seeing as this is playing, for anyone that was in the Hans's song not work. I don't know. sometimes some YouTube videos don't work. I don't know why. Yeah, seeing as this is playing, thank you whoever put this in. If you were in the stream last week when I was talking about how I learned about Strapping Young Lad, and you don't follow me on Twitter or didn't see, I found the bit of paper with all of the band recommendations on it in one of my 3 memento boxes. Oh no, I forgot to clean the top before I did the tip. Ah well. And it would have been... I always forget how unrelenting heavy felt. Oh, did you, Longfang? Did not know that. Learn something new every day. Sorry, I just want to get this transferred before I carry on. And I'm spilling it all over my desk, which is just not professional at all. Yeah. So, and I figured out my dates a bit better as well. So I would have been in year 7. I would have been about 12. So that was 2003 that happened. And then I saw SYL at Download in 06. Welcome back, Tidders. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it was a surprisingly nice little trip down memory lane going through my memento boxes, because I've basically kept every wristband or oh no, almost lost it, or gig ticket stub since I started going to gigs. Which would have been about 03, maybe 2002. It makes a change for you to be feeling young instead of me feeling old, Tidders. Alright, that'll do. I don't care about the dregs at the bottom. Ah, sod off. You're ruining me fun. Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff in there. I've still got my fucking Green Day ticket stub from when they did their American Idiot tour. Was lucky enough to be able to get to that. Don't know how I managed it. In fact, somewhere, probably at DazzleSquig's, because I don't think it ever made it onto the internet, there is a photograph of me waiting for the coach to go to Milton Keynes for that. I had an interesting fashion sense at that age. It was just before my emo phase. And as I was sort of coming out of my extremely gothy phase. Been 14-ish, maybe 15. Makes sense. Right. Now that I've covered myself in pink paint that I'm not even going to use today. Hey Hulu, how you doing? I'm going to get a little bit of Screamer Pink, which is what I put underneath the Pepto Squig Mole. Just pop that on my palette. Wow, titters. Damn. I'm actually going to put some fresh squid pink for those that actually want to know what the colour is. No, I get that, titters. But still, damn. Swink. And I'm not doing this with any sort of... little bit, wasn't it? I'm not doing any specific ratio or anything like that, but I'm just making a slightly darker pink to do the shading with. Hey Torpor, how you doing? Okay, so my masterful plan, such that it is to water this down and make it basically like a wash. Actually, I'll put a little bit more of the darker pink in. So I want it to be quite runny. I don't want too much on my brush either, because I don't know how well this is going to go. We'll see. Yeah, that needs to be thinner, but that's fine. No mistakes, just squiggy accidents. I mean, that's actually not worked out too bad now it's dried a little bit. One good thing about painting this weather, it dries reasonably quickly, so you can see just how badly you've messed up a lot quicker. Swigcidents, indeed. Now, I don't know if folks already knew this or not. I know Tidders does, because she enjoys finding all the sound commands that have been added. But there are 3, I think, Bob Ross themed sound commands. 2 months ago, there was a squigcident involving Hobby and some pink paint, indeed. Exactly. You are welcome to use them whenever you like. Though obviously it's appreciated if you keep them in context. Okay, I think I want a little bit more of the dark in there. A little more water. So what I'll probably end up doing is, once I've put this pink wash where I want it, I'll go over just the black stripes with an actual black wash. Bit too much on my brush there. That's okay. It's quite wet, so we can push it around. And if push comes to shove, I can always use a different brush just to get into the crevices. So how's everybody's week going so far? Hey Rust, how you doing? Yeah, fair. Oh, Rust, that sounds delightful though. What kind of pizza did you have? Cool, Dammy. Of course your birthday's the day before mine, isn't it? I wouldn't say they're secret, Hans. Wow, I clearly made that one way too quiet. It used to be far too loud. Or maybe the song was just really loud, I don't know. So, just for the sake of filling the silence, I'm not being, I know I say this on a lot of my streams, I'm not being too precious about how I apply the paint. I'm just sort of gently adding it where I feel like it looks right. Something a bit darker there. Having a cheeky Nando's, mate. Indeed. Yeah, that's fine, Dammy. For those that weren't already aware, I will be streaming on my birthday. I've booked the day off work, so I will be doing a stream in the afternoon, probably from around about noon until I get tired or people get bored, but no later than 5 o'clock because I've got plans later in the evening with some friends and, well, virtual plans anyway. And I should probably spend some time with Slow at some point on my birthday, so I'm going to do that sort of 5 o'clock-ish. I've gone a little bit darker than I intended to there, but that shouldn't be too bad. I want to go a bit dark there, and let's I'm just going to get some of the pink on, the dark pink on its own and water that right the fuck down. So that we can do like a darker shade and a mid shade. Because I want to make this crease here a little darker so that I can use the mid shade just next to it. Give that crease a bit more depth. There we go. You should be able to see that okay on stream. Welcome back, Julio. I hope you're feeling okay. Yeah, I will be glad to, Tidders. It was my plan to raid you after my stream anyway. Because as most of you folks know, I don't like streaming over other streamers, if I can avoid it. Particularly where it's their primary source of income. Because at the end of the day, yeah, I get some pocket money from this, which is way more helpful than I ever wanted it to be. But I have a day job, so I don't want to take time and money away from other people. Because I don't work like that. Let's have a little bit of the mid-tone here, I think. Yeah, that's better. This is pretty. Very nice tune. Now let's make this crease darker as well. So yeah, next Monday I'm thinking bit of Sonic, maybe some Revenge of Shinobi. I'm basically going to be playing games that I grew up with that hold a special place in my heart. And I might do some other stuff as well, like some Jackbox or something, but it's not really on the plan at the moment, if you see what I mean. Because I've been having some audio issues, particularly where Discord's concerned, and I don't want to introduce more problems into my streams than I need to. Oh dear. I've messed this side up a little bit doing that, but that's fine. I can fix it. We are definitely going to have to go over those Dazzle camo lines though. Oh well, lessons learned. I'm sorry folks, I know I'm not being very talkative. Sort of focusing. I hope that's okay. Oh geez. Hey Cyborg. How you doing, friend? 13 months, fucking hell. Thank you very much, mate. I'm the grump today. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Big hugs. You want to talk about it? Because we're here if you want to. Was that loud at your end? Because that was really fucking quiet for me. It's very loud. Okay, I will make a note to make that less loud. Wonder why it was so loud for you guys and not for me. Very weird. Ah, actually. Okay, all the alerts will be quieter now, but that will do in the short term. I am sorry about that, folks. It's so strange. Definitely wasn't that loud at the weekend. Is the music quite loud for you folks as well then? Oh, thank you, Torpor. Will do. Give me a sec. Let's a bit more shade there, and then I will do the thing. Okay, I'll fix that side a bit. Okay. Sorry if anybody has problems with cracking bones, that was my hands. Everybody else, you stretch and hydrate too. In this weather, you need to. That's really weird, because the music's super loud for me, but the alerts are really quiet. Very odd. It's usually the way around for me. Get hell yeah for Hulu, who made their first D&D character yesterday. Oh, awesome! Congratulations, Hulu. What did you make? Where is this one? I just can't hear at all. Oh, hands, no. Yeah, you go open a window, mate. I feel your pain there. Well, if you're willing to do it virtually, Dammy, I'm sure there's plenty of people in this chat that would be willing to assist you there. so the weather here is wet. Aren't you in Wales? Isn't it always wet in Wales? Even when it's sunny. Okay, I think... Oh, hey DazzleSquig, how you doing? I have chocolate for you. Okay, cool, thank you. That ain't gonna survive in this weather. I need a smaller brush for this, otherwise I'm gonna fuck it up. From my colleague. Oh, okay. Thank you to your colleague, I guess. Also, how are you doing, Mum? I honestly think everyone should try role-playing at least once. It's a very eye-opening experience. It really is, Rust. I do think it's important that some expectations are set, though, because with the advent of things like... Give me a second. Just gonna reboot my audio engine. That's better. Because now I can hear the music. I do need to turn it down though. For me. There we go. Yeah, some expectations need to be set when it comes to RPing these days, I think. Because thanks to things like Critical Role, some people, when they come into RPing for the first time, are expecting their DMs to be Matt Mercer. And let's face it, they ain't gonna be. And that can be very, very daunting for a DM as well. Because that is a big expectation to have to try and live up to. But yeah, it's important that people go in not expecting it to be Critical Role, but also that people be ready to have conversations about where boundaries need to be set. Now, if you're playing with people that you know really, really well, then it may not be quite so important that you have that actual conversation, because you may already know where people's boundaries are. But especially if you're playing with people from online, or like you've done a looking for group or something like that, it's important to have those conversations, because you don't know what experiences people have had in their lives, and you don't know how certain things are going to affect them. First time watching, I was out in the sun painting a Necron Gauss rifle. Yet to decide the Necron colour scheme. Oh, wicked, Twiglet, and welcome to the stream. It's lovely to have you here. I don't know if I've got any of my old Necrons still. Necrons were the first actual army that I started collecting and playing. And I did them in like brassy colours, with all their iconography in gold. A little bit of tin bits. No, not tin bits. Oh gosh, I used a lot of tin bits for them. I went through so many pots of that shit. The sort of bolt gun silver. I don't know what they call it anymore. I don't even have a pot of it. Just as like a dry brush over the top. Gone purple for the plasma. Wicked. That'll look good. But yeah, I completely ignored all the suggestions in the codex and was just like, nah, I'm making my own colour scheme, fuck the lot, yeah. But there are some very nice colour schemes in the codex as well. And I'm sure whatever you choose in the end will look absolutely fab. I do think Necrons are quite fun to paint. There we go. You can tell I'm tired, can't you? Russ and Hulu will back me up about the safety tool sets. Yeah, safety tool sets are so important. And there's a lot of really good resources online for that kind of stuff now. Which is great. Yeah, you've got to be willing to have those kind of conversations at the beginning just to establish those boundaries. And you shouldn't have to have them again after that. Oh, thank you very much for the follow, Twiglet. Because if you're in a group where those boundaries are being respected, it will not need to come up again. But yeah, there's a good few very lovely beans in this chat who are well into their RPing. So yeah, Dammy, if you do want to try D&D for the first time, perhaps somebody in here will be able to help you with that. And if not, they'll know somewhere you can look. Oh, I really don't like this weather. Like, I've got to be so speedy with my paints, and I'm not a speedy painter. I am, even in an RP campaign at the moment, which I'm really enjoying. Like, so I'm playing the Age of Sigmar Soulbound RP. It's being DM'd by the absolutely fabulous Shanus, who I don't know if he's in the chat tonight. He's a good egg though. And I am playing with Longfang and with Snipe and Wib. And we've just finished the... What is it, Longfang? It's not the starter campaign, it's the... What's it, the pre-starter campaign? The beginner's campaign or something? It was fucking brutal. One of us died. It's okay, they got better. But I had such a blast, and I've been, like, after every session telling Slow about how things have gone, because he's obviously not in the group with us. And I said to him, prequel to the starter, that's it, crash and burn. I said to him after the last session, I've had so much fun, I need to buy a box of Kurnoth Hunters because I want to make a miniature of my character. So I'm playing a Kurnoth Hunter. It's called Aethlindir. He is tall and old and stoic. And he has a bird. The bird is called Toriyama. We call him Tori for short. He is a yellow cardinal. And he is a good bird. He lives in my hair. I won't talk about other people's characters, because they're not mine to talk about. But, yeah. I've had a lot of fun playing with everybody. They're a really lovely group of people. And I'm not just saying that because Longfang's in chat. I've never RP'd with anybody outside of my IRL social circle before. So I was very, very nervous about doing that. In fact, I ended up, when we first started arranging everything, messaging a couple of folks from my IRL RP group and just being like, oh my god, I've been invited to RP with people. I'm scared. Because I'm actually not particularly good at the whole social thing. Like, I amp it up for the streams. I'm sure you've all figured that out by now. I'm kind of socially awkward. Which is fine, you know. I've got through most of my life that way. Lies, you're a right chatterbox. Yeah, but you know me, mate. You know me. And to be fair, I also, you can talk about my dude, it's all good. I see what you're doing here, Longfang. Fine, I will talk about your dude. Before I do, random, I amp it up for work as well. Like, I've always done that. When I'm just, like, in my own space with my own peeps, I'm much more awkward and quiet. Anyway, moving swiftly the fuck on. So Longfang is playing a Stormcast Eternal, I believe is the correct vernacular. Or, as I like to call him, a brick shithouse. Connacht has basically single-handedly murder hoboed basically everything, which is good because the rest of us were either getting shite rolls or are made out of paper or wood, if you prefer. But yeah, Connacht is a similarly tall bean. Not quite as tall as Aethlindir, but still pretty fucking tall. Maybe it's a tall character thing. Both pretty stoic. But yeah, Connacht is a fucking unmitigated badass. You actually got the kill on the final boss, didn't you, Longfang? In a very cinematic moment at that. But yeah, I think that was only one part of the entire Gloomspite shit. Drizzle shroom, a little wanker. If I hadn't have flubbed my fucking rolls the week before, I would have put as many arrows as I could in the little shit. Ugh. That was so frustrating. Yeah, I think there was only one point in the entire game when Connacht didn't murder everything, and it's because his sword wouldn't reach that far. It was a sword, wasn't it? Not a hammer. Pretty sure it's a sword. I have a terrible memory. Great sword. Yeah. Now, I suggested that, Tidders, but apparently that wasn't a sensible option. I mean, sure, I also suggested bending it into a boomerang shape so it would come back, but Yeah, I had so much fun. Play Crash and Burn. I died. Yep, that sounds about right, Twiglet. Um, yeah, fair play, Longfang. Um, it's a miracle we didn't bloody die. Like, one of us did actually die, um, but they had an ace up their sleeve and were able to resurrect themselves. Um, and if it hadn't been for Shanus being an absolutely fucking fantastic DM and really fandangling some of the encounters so that they weren't just a massive fucking slog, yeah, we'd have either died or given up. But yeah, so you may see some tree people on stream at some point soon. Met Sam. God, I wanted to kill him. Damn. Bloody hell. I don't know if you folks heard that, but somebody halfway down the street just sneezed. I think that's looking a lot better than it did when I started. What do you folks think? I think it still needs a little bit of shading in places, but we can deal with that. Oops. Where was it? It was here. I think Slow's made himself ramen. I can smell it. Actually, how dare he? Yeah, that's what he does on Wednesdays. He used to like wait and then we'd cook and eat together, but I kept running overtime, so we agreed that he would just sort himself out when he was hungry on a Wednesday. So I didn't really like the idea of him like sitting there patiently waiting for me to finish painting something, and slowly starving to death. Seemed a bit harsh. It's like I know I've mentioned and actually shown off my old Raddle Thran on stream before. But what I can't remember if I've told you is that it took me 6 hours to paint him, and that I did that in a single stint, sitting cross-legged on the living room carpet, using the coffee table to lean my elbows on while I was painting. Basically, tidders, yeah. When I get really into a paint job, I can just forget about the world, which is not healthy, and I know that, but I don't rightly care. Oh, titters, no. I mean, I had the added benefit of Ivan was living as at the time when I painted Eldrad. Um, so Ivan and Slow basically teamed up to make sure that I had food and water whilst I was doing this paint job. But yeah, I know exactly how you feel there, Titters. I fixate on things sometimes. And I wish I didn't. But, like, if I'm having fun with it, and I'm not causing harm to myself or anyone else, it's alright, right? Trying desperately to get a little tiny bit of dark shading onto the lip there, because it's all creased. Sure. Yeah. You don't believe that either. It's fine. I can lie to myself as much as I want. I know the truth. Yeah, this is going to be the way to do it, I think. So that might look a little bit much at the moment, but what I'm going to do... God fucking damn it. Was this you, Titters? Fucking love this track. I was listening to it earlier as well. Right. You know, I don't think you really realise it until you've listened to this a few times, but the lyrics to this song are fucking daft. Still a great song, though. Danger zone where the dancer becomes the dance. Can cut you like a knife. There we go. Okay. The one exception to my drop a bottle policy is the shades, because they work better. Just not in a drop a bottle, in my experience. It's 80s wank, of course they are. And whilst you have a point, it's just a... like, this song was written for the movie it's from. It's not a song in its own right, if you know what I mean. It was written specifically for Flashdance. And you can fucking tell. Yeah, shouldn't have done that. Should not have done that. Normal oil does not taste nice. She's dancing like she's this one. Okay, so just because I don't want to make a mess of all that lovely pink I've put on, I'm using the Insane detail for a little bit. Just because it's slightly smaller. than the brush I was using. And I want to get a little bit of the Nuln Oil just here to give the leg a bit of definition. On a wire between will and what will be. So fucking silly. Right. Oh my god, titters, yes. Don't eat paint on stream, that's not fun for anyone. I don't do it on purpose, Sinister. I put the brush in my gob and I don't realise. It's normally okay because the paint doesn't normally taste that bad, but... well, shades always bloody do. Also, hello, how are you doing? Yes! Chemical plant zone, fuck yes. Though this isn't the original version. Sonic Mania OST, there we go. That's why it sounds different. Hey, Podlord, how you doing? Thank you for the bits there, friend. Was that alert slightly less painful to listen to? For the record, Chemical Plant Zone is my second favourite Sonic 2 level. So, good choice. Good volume, good. Glad to hear it. So I would much prefer not to deafen or terrify to death all of my viewers. Yeah, I think that will do. She's my favourite. I always get the name muddled in my head. Mystic Cave Zone? Mystic Night Zone? Yeah, I'm shit at remembering the name. Which is terrible considering it's my favourite zone. But it's the spooky foresty one. I'm gonna Google it. It is Mystic Cave. Thank you, Tidders. I don't need to Google it, I've got you. I thought it was. Yeah, you know how it is when somebody asks you something, you're just like, "Buh, I normally know this." Yeah. It's a really good level. It is my favourite level to play, and I really like the music as well. I think it helps that I used to get stuck there when I was a kid. So I heard that track and played it a lot. Okay. I think for the teeth, I'm mostly just going to put the wash on them. I'm not going to stress too much about prettying them up. I'm going to be a bit lazy with the teeth. Because I've already put quite a fair bit into this squig. Fuck yeah. You got the power. Gotta love a bit of 80s cartoon movie cheese. Thank you. Whoever put this in. I'll probably put a little bit of a white highlight on some of the teeth. But other than that, I'm not going to do much with him. Other than make sure that those crevices are nicely filled so that the teeth look the appropriate depth. You get the touch. Let's put a little bit on the horn as well. Just kind of dabbing it off with my fingers so that there's not too much on there, because I only want a little bit on the horn. Damn titters! There we go. The teeth look alright, don't they? I'm actually quite pleased with how this squig's turning out, considering, you know, I covered it in fucking Dazzle camo. Considering painting my Space Wolves purple tartan, I know I'll have to do this by hand, which is fun with tremors. Okay. Twiglet, as a fellow shaky painter, yes. But there are things that you can do to help you out with it. So, I tend to paint things how other people would consider backwards, because normally you go from dark to light, and I tend to go from light to dark. And I find that actually helps because I can sort of balance things where I've shook with the dark a bit easier. And a little trick that I showed on chat, showed chat earlier, if you're trying to do straight lines like I've done here, get a bit of washi tape. Oh, the two little bits I had have disappeared, so I'll just pull another little bit off and show you what I did. If I can find the end of the tape. Oh, and Longfang is a bit of an expert in this area, for want of a better description, so good source of knowledge there. Clearly you can just get a pot of tartan paint. Nice one, titters. Twiglet has summoned the resident Scot. You know your shit, Longfang. I wasn't specifically talking about the tartan, though. I was talking about the wolves. Urge to ignore Stormcast Judicators and build the Star Drake is Rising. Do what you want to do, Hans. You're the only Scot here, you're the closest we've got. Yeah, so I'll just... There we go. So I painted the lines without any guidelines, and then when I found a shaky one, I put a little bit of washi tape over it, and then just painted along the washi tape, waited for it to dry, and pulled it off, and it straightened everything up. A little bit more difficult to do with tartan, because obviously you've got varying thicknesses of lines, and some of them are really fucking thin. But it will help with some of the block, sort of blocks of colour that you'll have to do. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, hang on. Let me get Eldred out again. Hey, Shayna, how you doing? So I freehanded these runes onto Eldred's cloak, and like, they are in no way perfect. Like, some of them are really fucking wonk, especially on this side. But they still look nice, you know? As long as you're happy with what you've done, then it doesn't matter if it's super perfect. Oh, ma'am, what am I gonna do with you? And no worries, Twiglet. And like I said to folks earlier, this came as part of a pack of different sizes of washi tape. It cost me about £5. You can get it on places like Wish. You can probably get it on Amazon as well, or eBay. But it's not massively expensive, and it can be really, really useful for craft projects of all sorts. Yeah, Sinister, that's a really good tip. Love me forever. I always will, ma'am, because you're the best. But your jokes are terrible. You could even get it from reputable retailers. You could, but reputable retailers may be more expensive. So, you know, eBay, Wish, cheap. And sometimes money is the problem there. But yeah, I think we're getting there with old DazzleSquig here. Let's have a little bit of... I'm going to use spaceship exterior to put some highlights on the teeths. Yeah, the paint the eyes first thing is a really good idea. Because as folks that have watched my streams when I've been painting humans in the past will know, if you fuck up one eye, you might have to redo an entire half of the face that you've already done. And yeah, so if you do the eyes first, at least you only have to redo an eye when you fuck one of them up. But yeah, it's a learning experience, and there is no right or wrong way to do anything in this hobby, or in any hobby really, I guess. You just got to find what works for you. And no, smaller one. And also, this is more of an issue in the 40k space, I think, but bollocks to the canon. Like, you've paid good money for those little plastic soldiers. If you want to paint them wacky colours, or you want to give them pumpkin heads, because you can do that. There's a place that sells pumpkin heads for Space Marines. Oops, that a bit much. That's fine. Or, you know, anything like that. You want to kit bash them to fuck? Do it. They're yours. To paraphrase Bob Ross, these are your little plastic dudes, and you can be as creative as you like. You can do whatever you want. Can someone please bring the Brumarines to life? I mean, I've got a fuck ton of Space Marines that I need to do something with, so maybe. Because I ain't going to paint them for myself. Anarcho-hobbyism, exactly. As long as you are not impeding somebody else's ability to enjoy this hobby, Do what the fuck you like. That's my words of wisdom on the subject. Don't be a cunt. And do what you want. Still got a Hazard Bunny in the queue. Yes, I do. I also want to do Keeper Frank as a miniature. Keeper Frank is a Hazard Bunny who joined the Death Watch. I swear I've seen a Chaos Marine with Iron Brew colours before. That'd be wicked. Oops. Bit too much. It's fine. Painted Dark Angel Sergeant helmet in bone cream colour because I thought red on green looked crap. Yeah, fair enough. I went to the Tangled Shore earlier today, shush. Ah, that makes sense. Last time I played Destiny, I accidentally went into the heroic version of this Lost Sector on my own. And I wasn't the right level for it. And I died. Like, the first thing in there killed me repeatedly, and every single time I tried to bring my ghost up to go back to orbit or to quit out of the activity, the bastard came round the corner to where I'd spawned and killed me again before I could finish exiting the activity. And I called out to Slow and was just like, I need your help. And he couldn't help me. He was busy. So I just kept dying over and over again at the doorway to that fucking Lost Sector. It was like I'd fallen into Destiny purgatory. It's fucking awful. Eventually it decided to take pity on me and let me actually exit the activity after about 10 minutes. And hilariously, like 2 seconds later, Slow goes, right, I'm free now, what did you want help with? See, that's what we in the trade call an Alt F4 moment, indeed. But you know me, I'm too stubborn to do that. Okay, I think that works. A little tiny bit of shine on the tip of the horn. Got some shiny teeth. Maybe too many shiny teeth, actually. Excuse me a second, folks. Hi, everybody. I'm having hay fever problems again today. Needed to go get a tissue. I should really keep a box of tissues on this side of my desk so that when I inevitably need to blow my nose during a stream, I can, instead of having to disappear to go and get a tissue. Right. So I feel like I've put a little too much white on some of the teeth, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of lightened up skeleton bone on them just to make the shine slightly less obvious, I guess. Like this one here, way too much white on it. Actually gonna leave the white in the middle as is and get rid of the rest. So I think that makes more sense. There we go. It might sound daft, but using the side of the brush instead of the front just to blend it, the tip of it, just to blend the paint in. Because that way I'm not getting more paint on it. I'm just using what's already on it. There we go. Slightly less obviously shiny, that's what we want. Some people like to go really obvious with their shade changes, and Slow picks me up on that all the time. Right. He thinks that they should be much more noticeable, but I tend to prefer like a subtler change in colour. I know there's quite a difference between the dark areas on the squig's body itself and the lighter areas, but I don't think it's too much in that situation. Yeah. I prefer subtlety, but that's me. Doesn't necessarily translate perfectly onto a miniature anyway, because you've only got a small space to work with. But it's what I like, so it's what I do, and that's fine. Lighting's all funky. Is it? Shouldn't be. That might be better. I was wondering why it was so dark over here. It's because I hadn't turned my desk lamp up. So this is a day lamp. Oh, I see. Oh gosh. Hope everything's okay. My lighting looked fine. Well, it's actually better for me now because I can actually see what I'm doing properly. So, there we go. Our little squiggy friend needs their eyes colouring in. How's that pink coming along? Oh, it's stuck. Come on, down you go. There we go. Now, I'm thinking for the eyes, we want something that stands out. So I'm going to try and get them with some black. Not that black though, because the heat has dried it out. Curse you, Sol. Where's my black one? There we go. We'll use this one because it's the one that I can reach. Oh no, here we go. Whole black. The one that gets a giggle from the audience every bloody time. Partial eclipse tomorrow. Oh, okay. Neato. Put that there. we go. Right. I have successfully blacked in the eyes without getting black everywhere. Success. Question is, what colour shall we make our little squiggy friend's eyes? What do we think, folks? I mean, they're not going to be massively noticeable because they're quite small. Success! Yes! Bright blue. Okay, we can do that. Okay, so we've got to hand sky blue, deep sky blue, sorry, and Lothern blue. Which one? Okie dokie. Now, I've not used this in a while, so it's important to give it a shake. Oh yeah, mostly for the fellow northerners in chat. Slow's been taking the piss out of me saying it's a bit warm. He says wham. And then smirks. How many times do I have to put up with him doing that before I kill him? He thinks it's cold? No, he's just a fucking southerner. Which is fine. Except for when he's taking the piss out of me accent. By law 3. Thank you. Oh, Twiglet, if you're still in chat, another thing that's really helped me with getting paint where I want it to be, because of the shaking. I'm a southerner, so I'm automatically wrong. Not always, but when it comes to northern accents, yes. Yeah, if you're still there, Twiglet, I use the Psycho paintbrush from Army Painter for almost everything. It's a really, really fine tip, so it takes ages to do anything. But I find using that instead of bigger paintbrushes, especially when I'm doing stuff like the lines, is really, really helpful, because even if I shake, I don't get paint literally everywhere. Like, I have really bad muscle spasms sometimes, which can completely destroy a miniature, as I'm sure folks can appreciate. But yeah, using more detailed brushes for your standard paint jobs tends to help with that, I find. Might not work for you, but it works for me. It is, isn't it, Twiglet? Oh, wow, Shanus, yeah. You're like a buttered cat array. Which way does it land? Don't know that with minis, but I feel it was soldering. Yeah. It can be a real pain in the arse, just like random muscle spasm. Oh, everything's fucked. Great. Shanus is a paradox. Yeah, Shanus is a paradox. Shanus is our favourite paradox. Right. So there is one other thing I want to do with the eyes. You're all southerners down in the UK. Fair hands, fair. I've got to find it first, so you'll have to give me a sec. I think it's this one. It is. Haha. Okay, so Green Stuff World. Oh yeah, same Twiglet. I stabbed myself on stream once with my hobby knife and didn't notice I'd done it because I have a really high pain tolerance. Didn't notice it until I started bleeding. Right, Green Stuff World did a series of glow in the dark. Well, I think they're actually fluorescent under a black light rather than glow in the dark, but paints for miniatures. And I have them, so I'm gonna make the Squig's eyes glow in the dark. Or under a black light, I don't know which. I need to buy a black light so I can test it, but I've just been dying for an excuse to use these fucking things. Let's see what it says on the... Did I shake that well enough? I don't think I did. Want the purple for my Necrongor's rifle. Oh yeah, that'd be wicked. The set's not massively expensive if I remember rightly. Can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that's come out a little bit thicker. That's what I want. Always remember to check your paints before you use them. And Green Stuff World shipping's actually pretty good as well, in my experience. But yeah, these are either going to glow in the dark or they're going to glow under a black light. Either way, I think that'll look rad. And because I've used the blue one, it's not sort of dampened the colour of the eyes too much either. I don't think. So I think that's the squig itself basically done. Let's get some highlights on those toes. Now, I don't know whether to do the next bit of this like on stream with you all, or if I should do it off stream, because it's going to be a bit fiddly. Because what I've got to do, now that the squig is painted, is remove the gas mask from one of these. That's going to be difficult. Hey Eustache, how you doing? Gone with Nagaroth Knight. Oh, wicked Twiglet. Frost Tortellini required. Oh, yes, Rocket. Nice. Welcome back, Tidders. Building an LED into a fire prism crystal array so that it glows with power. Oh, yes, Shay. I'm loving the discussion that's going on here with different... It is under a black light. Right. Thank you, Torpor. Resin work is a pain. It's fine. I've got an entire fucking Necron Tombstalker somewhere that I've sort of half prepped for assembly. I don't know whether that's a project that I'll do on stream at some point. If people want to see it, then I will totally do that. Try to carve away the head instead of removing the mask. Yeah, that's the plan, Grox. I have done crazy shit like this in the past and it's gone horribly, so... yeah, there we go. Mystic Cave Zone. Blast from the past. Yeah, so I need to do that. I think I'll do it off stream because it's going to be really fiddly, and doing it in front of the camera is going to be difficult, and I'm probably going to end up stabbing myself, and nobody wants to see that. And I've only got 4 minutes left of the stream because I intend to finish on time tonight. So I'm just going to quickly finish off this dropper bottle, seeing as it's about there. So many unfinished projects just laying around. Give me a second, Twiglet. Because I feel like this is an important message for folks as well. Let me just get my dropper lid and sort that out so I don't knock it over and spill paint everywhere. Right. There we go. I can put the label on later. I've only got one that's empty, so... Right. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we'll try. Did I? I did. There we go. Okay, so there's my paints and my light box. But then above that, and above that, I've also got some shit underneath the desk that you can't see, and over on the other side of the room there's a cupboard that's literally full of blister packs of miniatures that I've backed on Kickstarter and have not put together yet because nobody wants to play the games with me. So I know you're feeling there, Twiglet. I know the feeling. Oh, all hobbyists do, Tidders. Any walk of life. But here's the thing. You called them shelves of shame, yeah? I'm not ashamed by that. I will climb that mountain eventually. I'll get there. I'm buying a lot less miniatures now than I used to. Mostly because I can't afford to anymore. Because most of these were bought when I was still a student and the government was giving me money for my education and I was spending it on plastic crack. But I will get through them all eventually. It's going to take me fucking years, especially seeing as I only really paint when I'm on stream at the minute. But I'll get through them. And you will get through your projects as well, all of you. There is no point in shaming yourself for, no matter what it is, whether it's a writing project, whether it's cosplay, whether it's modding something, whether it's miniatures. Don't shame yourself for being behind on your projects. We've all got shit going on in our lives. If you can find time to do the things you love doing, do them. But don't beat yourself up for not outputting as much as the next person. You do you. Do what is right and happy and comfortable for you. Bollocks to everybody else. And never, ever feel ashamed of the things you love. Guess what? I've run over by a minute. But I think it was worth it to end the stream on that note, don't you? What about feet? Oh, cyborg. Indeed. Hands. Okay, I was going to finish up, but I need to address that before I do. Hands. The books that you read will have been through hundreds of iterations and probably thousands of publishers before they've made it into your hands. They are literal years in the making. And if you're anything like me, you beat yourself up about your first draft. And then you don't do any more because you're not happy with that first draft. You got to chip away at the stone. And don't compare yourself to others. Never judge a fish by how well it climbs a tree. Everybody's different. And just because your stories aren't, in your opinion, as good as the ones that you read, doesn't mean that everybody else is going to feel the same way. I mean, I used to write fucking fan fiction and people loved it and I hated it. One man's garbage is another man's potpourri. Juice, she's gone live if you want to raid him. Yes, I think that's a good idea. But yeah, don't beat yourself up about the projects that you're working on. Be kind to yourselves, folks. Every time I say take care of yourselves, part of that is being kind to yourself about all sorts of things. Don't forget that. And if you can't be kind to yourself, come and get me and I'll be kind for you. Right. Let's go out on a smooth note with a bit of heavy metal. And, oh, thank you so much, Twiglet. I'm glad you've enjoyed yourself. So, it's that time again. Massive thank you to everyone that's come along today. I hope you've had a good time. I have. And we're making some really good progress on the DazzleSquig. I will be back on Friday with some more Valhalla. And then Saturday with Hollow Knight, and Sunday with Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures, which I'm super fucking hyped for. So hopefully I'll see you for one, if not all of those streams. Did it work? It did. Okay. But yeah. It's been a blast. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. And we're going to go raid Jig Silver now, because he's a certified good bean who helps me out with my audio issues all the fucking time. He's an absolute ledge. So, tip me, I need a fan. Yes, if you use !tipgoth or !tipfang, you will get the tip links for my mods, because if I could pay them I would, but I can't. So feel free to show your appreciation to them by throwing money at them on my behalf. Anyway, seriously, thanks so much for today, folks. I've had a really good time. And until I see you all next, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Wash your fucking hands. And do something you love this week. And don't be ashamed of it. Bye, everybody.